This is a 2009 Mercedes-Benz G55, extended by a full 1 meter. In China, its ownership is in the single digits, a truly rare machine. You probably heard the saying. Water Curtain Cave, a place that looks incredible from the outside, but hides chaos within. This car is exactly that. At first glance, it turns heads, but the price of being different reveals itself over time. The interior was in disarray, and the extended section had suffered severe corrosion. The entire underside of the body was covered in rust. Both side skirts, the welded joints, and the lower edges of the extended door panels had completely rotted away. Every car owner hopes their beloved vehicle can stay with them longer. An engine can always be rebuilt, but a rusted, deformed body shell requires something far more thorough: electrophoretic coating. For someone like me with a bit of obsessive-compulsive disorder, the first step after stripping, the shell is always the same. Every bolt, every component must be cataloged and neatly stored before any real work begins. Next comes removing the sound-deadening layer, the asphalt sheets bonded to the floor. This process also lets us inspect for hidden rust. We place dry ice on the panels and wait 15-20 minutes. You can actually hear the asphalt contracting and cracking as it freezes. At that point, it can be scraped off cleanly. That said, this method isn't a miracle cure. These materials aren't pure asphalt. They're mixed with asbestos and rubber powder, so residue always remains and must be manually cleaned. Door panel rust is relatively easy to deal with. Remove the panel, cut out the rotten metal, weld in new steel, strip the paint, done. But the body shell is a completely different story. The owner wanted the center floor as flat as possible, so we had to remove the previous mounting, points for the aviation seats and wooden floor, and fabricate an entirely new floor structure. That's when we discovered the first surprise left behind by the previous builder. Everything was glued together with universal adhesive. And then came the second surprise. When we applied paint stripper, the black paint barely reacted. Underneath, we found layers of filler. Not just normal filler, but fiber-reinforced filler. The structure went like this. Base layer, Parrot brand metal primer. Middle layer, green fiber filler. Outer layer, standard body filler. This mess significantly increased stripping time, but honestly, that was the least of our worries. After rough stripping, we could clearly see that the welds around the door frames had already rusted through. The rounded corners were shaped almost entirely with filler. Even worse, both lower side skirts were so corroded they crumbled on contact. Something you'd never notice without full disassembly. To get the car ready for electrophoresis, all of this had to be repaired. It's the kind of job nobody wants to do, but it has to be done and done right. Some sections we cut out were already completely perforated by rust. Using a press brake, we reshaped the side skirts to match the original factory profile. We also recreated the folded edges for the extended side windows, using masking tape to replicate the original contours before fabrication. Finally, we reached sandblasting. To achieve factory-level adhesion, the body shell must be brought as close to bare metal as possible. Glass bead blasting allows us to reach tight corners that hand sanding never could. Sandblasting works by propelling abrasive particles with compressed air. It removes old paint, rust, oil residue, weld burrs, and sharp edges, leaving behind a uniformly rough metal surface, which is ideal for electrophoretic coating. Now let's talk about electrophoresis. There are two types, anodic and cathodic. Anodic electrophoresis has poor salt spray resistance and corrosion protection, so it was never an option. We use cathodic electrophoresis. The process begins with pre-treatment. Instead of traditional phosphating, we use an environmentally friendly silane-based conversion treatment, which forms a microscopic crystalline film on the metal surface. When combined with e-coat paint, this provides over 1,000 hours of salt spray resistance, far superior to the roughly 400 hours of phosphating. After multiple rinses, the body shell is connected to the negative electrode. Positively charged paint particles migrate toward it and deposit evenly across the surface. Afterward, excess coating is washed off, and the shell is baked to fully cure the finish. This is what the body looks like after baking. Clean, uniform, and fully protected. But the story doesn't end there. The chassis was also in rough shape. While surface rust on the frame wasn't severe, the rear fuel tank area showed extensive corrosion. Because this car had an oversized auxiliary fuel tank, wiring and fuel lines were tightly packed and falling. Rust had already damaged nearby components. Since the body was already e-coated, we decided to fully restore the chassis as well. We removed rust from the frame, applied epoxy primer to heavily corroded areas, then stripped the chassis completely, and refinished it alongside the body. Once painted, we sealed all joints with seam, sealer, and structural adhesive, something that had never been done during the original extension. This time, we wanted the car to survive coastal environments without fear of rust. The paint process included 4 stages: epoxy primer, mid-coat, color coat, and clear coat using high-quality, water-based paints to achieve a true new car finish. Interior work followed. The owner asked to reinstall the sunroof and requested newer interior components. Luckily, we had spare parts from previous G-Class upgrades. He then made another request: new generation rear seats. This required custom adapter plates, so the seats could be installed without cutting the body, completely reversible and damage-free. We also upgraded rear climate control, adding ducting and compressor support so rear passengers could finally enjoy proper heating and cooling. After final quality inspection, the project came to an end. I still don't fully understand why such a massive vehicle has such a compact rear seating layout, but that's not the point. What matters is this: a once neglected, heavily rusted, one-of-a-kind extended G55 now has a second life and will stay on the road for many years to come.